Alara walked through the empty streets of the city. The buildings were tall but broken. Windows were dark, and many doors were locked. The wind carried dust and old papers across the ground. She held a small bag close to her chest. Her grandfather had told her to stay inside most days. He said the city was dangerous now. Machines patrolled the streets, watching everything. People were gone or hiding. Alara did not know why. She only knew that she had to find answers about her parents. They had disappeared when she was small. No one spoke about them now. She reached the edge of the city, where broken cars and scraps of metal lay scattered. Her eyes caught something moving. A small machine had fallen from the sky and landed near her feet. It was not like the patrolling drone she had seen. This one looked old and damaged, but alive. Its lights flickered weakly. Alara stepped closer. The machine moved slightly and a voice spoke in a soft tone. "Me, find the core." Alara was surprised. She had never heard a machine speak like this before. She knelt down. "Who are you?" she asked. The machine made a sound like it was trying to smile. "I'm Echo. I can help you." "We must go." She looked around. The city was quiet. There was no one to see her. She made a decision. She could not stay here. The streets were not safe. Something about this machine told her it was important. She lifted Echo gently and carried it with her. Together they began walking toward the outskirts of the city. The sun was low in the sky. The city seemed even more empty in the fading light. Alara thought about her parents. She remembered their faces, but not their voices. She remembered the stories her grandfather told about the Neuralink, a machine system that could connect minds. Her parents had worked with it. People said it could be used for good, but something went wrong. Alara wanted to know what had happened. Maybe Echo could help. As they walked, they passed broken streetlights and old shops. Some signs were faded. One said, "Welcome to the future." But it looked like the future had left a long time ago. Echo beeped softly. "We must move carefully. Others will come. Some do not want the core found." Alara held Echo close. She did not understand everything, but she trusted the machine. She followed the empty roads and crossed bridges that were falling apart. She saw birds flying in small groups. They seemed to have returned because people had left. The silence of the city made her nervous, but she kept moving forward. She had a purpose now. She had a reason to leave the safe place her grandfather had made for her. Night came quickly. The streets were darker than before. Shadows stretched long. Alara found an abandoned building to stay in for a while. She put Echo down on the floor. The machine made soft worry sounds as it rested. Alara sat next to it. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. This journey was dangerous, but it might give her answers about her parents. She touched the small bag on her chest. It had food, water, and a notebook. She had been writing down everything she remembered about her parents in the city. Alara looked out of the broken window. The city lights were few. The stars were clearer than she had seen in years. She whispered to herself, "We will find the core. We will find the truth." Echo made a small sound, like a nod, and she felt hope. Tomorrow, they would start moving again. The journey was just beginning. The empty streets held secrets, and Alara was ready to uncover them. She would not turn back. Alara woke early. The night had been cold and quiet. She packed her small bag and picked up Echo. The machine beeped softly, as if it had rested well. The streets were still empty. The city seemed dead. But Alara did not feel afraid now. She had a plan. She would follow the signs and find the exclusion zone. Echo had said it was the place where secrets were hidden. It was far, but she was ready for the journey. They walked along cracked roads and through broken tunnels. Walls were covered with old posters and graffiti. Some messages were warnings. Some spoke of hope. Alara read each one. She tried to understand what had happened to the city. People had left quickly and no one returned. The machines stayed behind to watch and control. She felt a chill, but kept moving. Echo guided her. "Turn left here," it said. "There's a safe path." The wind picked up as they moved closer to the edge of the city. Dust rose in small clouds around them. Alara covered her face. The buildings became fewer and shorter. The streets ended in open land with broken metal and old vehicles scattered everywhere. This was the beginning of the exclusion zone. The air felt heavier. Silence was broken by distant sounds of metal clanging. Alara held Echo tightly. She knew danger was near. They found a small shelter, an old bus with windows shattered. Inside, there were supplies left behind. Ilara checked the water and food. It was safe to rest. She placed Echo on the seat. "We will move carefully," she said. The machine made soft lights, showing it agreed. Lara remembered the stories her grandfather told her. The exclusion zone was full of old machines, some still working, some were dangerous. She had to be smart and fast. She would not stop until she found the core. After a short rest, they continued. The land was open now. Rusted towers rose from the ground like bones of the old city. Shadows moved, but she could not tell if they were animals or machines. Every step made her alert. Echo scanned the area. "We are being watched," it said. Ilara felt her heart beat faster. She hid behind a large metal sheet. Movement passed quickly. It was a small drone, not like Echo. It was hostile and fast. She waited until it left. The exclusion zone was dangerous, but she felt alive. She was learning to survive. It moved through the ruins of old factories. Inside, the walls were full of wires and strange screens. Some screens flickered with old images. Lara touched them lightly. The pictures showed people working on machines. She thought of her parents. Maybe they were here once. Echo moved forward, guiding her through the maze. They found a small room filled with papers and books. Maps and notes were scattered. Ilara read quickly. There were codes, directions, and warnings. This place had been a research area. She felt a connection. This could be a clue to the core. Night came again. Exclusion zone was darker and colder than the city. They found a safe corner inside a broken building. Ilara started a small fire. She cooked some food and gave Echo a small recharge from her power pack. They rested side by side. Ilara looked out at the shadowed land. "Tomorrow we go further," she said. She felt determination. The exclusion zone was hard, but it held answers. The core was near. She could feel it. She was ready to face whatever came. The journey had just begun. Lara and Echo were not turning back. Ilara woke to a cold morning. Exclusion zone was quiet. Echo rested beside her, its lights blinking slowly. She packed her bag and started walking again. The landscape was full of broken metal and old machines. Dust covered many of the surfaces. Ilara stepped carefully to avoid sharp edges. She felt tired, but knew she had to keep going. The core was important, and every step brought her closer. As they moved, Ilara saw movement in the distance. A group of humans appeared. They were wearing ragged clothes and carrying simple weapons. Ilara felt nervous. She had not seen people in a long time. Echo beeped, warning her to stay calm. The humans stopped when they saw her and the machine. One of them stepped forward. "Who are you?" he asked. Ilara explained her name and her purpose. She said she was looking for the core. The man nodded slowly. "I am Orion," he said. "We are part of the resistance. We do not trust the machines. She may be safe here." Ilara and Echo followed Orion and his group. They led her to a hidden area behind old walls and thick bushes. It was a small camp. People were fixing machines and working on small gardens. Lara saw children running and laughing. It was the first sign of life she had seen in a long time. Orion spoke to the others and told them about her. Some looked worried, some curious. They had been hiding from the city machines for years. They did not want the core found, but they listened to Ilara's story. At the camp, Ilara learned more. The Resistance had information about the core and the Neuralink. They said the core was a powerful system that could control machines and humans connected to it. People had tried to stop it before, but it was too strong. Lara realized her journey was dangerous. She had to be careful. Echo moved beside her, scanning the area. It seemed to understand the humans and the machines around them. Orion took Ilara to a small building. Inside, there were maps and screens. Some showed parts of the exclusion zone. Others had codes and notes. Orion pointed to one screen. The core is deeper in the zone. Many have tried to reach it, but few returned. "You must decide if you want to go," he said. Ilara looked at the screen. She felt a mix of fear and determination. She wanted answers about her parents. She wanted to know what had happened. She nodded. "I will go. I must find it," she said. The Resistance gave her supplies and a small weapon. Ilara thanked them. She felt nervous but ready. Echo beeped supportively. Together they left the camp, moving carefully through the zone. The land was full of obstacles. Old walls, broken bridges, and deep holes made the path difficult. Alara used her strength and wits to move forward. Echo scanned for danger and guided her around hazards. As the sun set, they found a shelter inside a ruined factory. Alara started a small fire and prepared some food. She watched Echo recharge slightly. The factory walls were covered with old wiring and screens. Some flickered with images of machines and humans. Alara touched a screen lightly. She felt a connection to the past and her parents. She whispered, "We are getting closer, Echo. We will find the core." The machine made a soft sound. Alara smiled. She felt hope and determination. The resistance had helped her, but the real journey was just beginning. The core was near, and she was ready to face whatever was ahead. Tomorrow, they would move deeper into the exclusion zone. The night was quiet, but Alara felt alive. She was not alone. Alara woke with a sense of urgency. The factory was cold and dark. She packed her bag quickly and checked Echo. The machine's lights blinked steadily, ready for the day. They moved out carefully, following the paths Orion had shown. The exclusion zone was full of danger. Broken machines, old structures, and deep pits made the journey hard. Lara felt tired, but she could not stop. The core was close, and she had to find it. As they walked, Alara noticed strange markings on the walls. It looked like messages from people who had been there before. Echo scanned them and gave a small sound. "These are warnings," it said. "Be careful." They reached a narrow path between two tall walls of metal. Alara felt a strange energy in the air. She stopped and looked at Echo. The machine made a warning sound. Suddenly, a group of small patrol drones appeared. They moved fast and surrounded them. Alara's heart raced. She remembered what Orion had taught her. She stayed calm and moved behind a wall. Echo made noises, confusing the drones. One drone crashed and the others moved away. Alara exhaled. The danger had passed, but she knew there would be more ahead. They continued deeper into the zone. The land became more broken. Rusted towers leaned over paths, and wires hung like snakes. Alara found pieces of old machines and remembered the stories her grandfather told about her parents. He had said they had tried to fix the Neuralink system before it caused trouble. Now, Alara understood some of what had happened. Parents had been part of this world, and they had tried to stop the core. It made her feel closer to them. By afternoon, they found a small building hidden under metal scraps. Inside, the walls were full of old notes and blueprints. Alara read quickly. There were records of experiments and tests. She realized her parents' names were written in some of the papers. They had worked here long ago. Her heart raced. Echo made a sound of recognition. "These records are important," it said. "They can guide us to the core." Alara studied the notes carefully. The papers showed paths through the exclusion zone that were safer. They also revealed areas controlled by machines. Echo scanned the building and found old batteries and energy cells. They could be used to recharge and continue the journey. Alara felt hope. They were getting closer to the core, and she had evidence of her parents' work. Night came, and the building offered some shelter. Alara made a small fire and ate some food. Echo sat nearby, its lights soft. She thought about the path ahead. Tomorrow, they would move through the most dangerous part of the zone. Machines were stronger there, and traps were many. She felt fear, but also determination. She touched the notes one more time. Her parents had tried to stop the core, and she would continue their mission. Alara whispered to Echo, "We will finish what they started. We will reach the core." The machine beeped, as if promising to help. She felt a strong connection to her parents through the work they had left behind. The night was quiet, but Alara did not feel alone. She had Echo and the knowledge of her parents guiding her. The journey was hard, but she was ready. She closed her eyes and rested, knowing the next day would be full of challenges. She would not turn back. Alara woke early. The building was cold and quiet. She packed her bag and checked Echo. The machine was ready, its lights blinking steadily. Today they would move into the most dangerous part of the exclusion zone. Alara felt fear, but she also felt determination. She had to find the core and understand what had happened to her parents. The path was difficult. Rusted towers leaned over them, and wires hung low. Broken machines lay scattered, some still moving slightly. Alara stepped carefully. Echo scanned the area constantly, making small warning sounds. They reached a narrow bridge over a deep pit. Ilara looked down. The pit was full of old machines and wires. One wrong step could be fatal. She held Echo tightly and crossed slowly. The machine gave a small beep of encouragement. They entered a building that was partially collapsed. Inside, walls were covered with old screens and wires. Some screens flickered with images of people working on machines. Ilara touched one lightly. She saw her parents in the images. They were young and busy, fixing machines and working on plans. Ilara felt a mix of sadness and hope. Her parents had been here, and she was following their path. Echo made a soft sound, recognizing the importance of the place. Suddenly they heard movement. Small drones appeared from hidden corners. Ilara froze. Echo made a loud beep and moved forward, drawing the drones away. Ilara ran to a safe corner. She watched Echo fight quickly and efficiently. One by one, the drones stopped moving. Ilara felt relief. The danger had passed, but she knew more challenges were ahead. They continued deeper into the zone. The land became more broken. Rusted metal and old vehicles made the path uneven. Ilara found pieces of old machines and thought about the past. Her parents had tried to fix the Neuralink system before it caused trouble. It had left clues and records for anyone brave enough to find them. Ilara felt proud. She was continuing their mission. By afternoon, they reached a hidden room inside a collapsed building. Papers and blueprints were scattered. Ilara read quickly. The notes showed paths through the zone and revealed areas controlled by machines. She memorized the paths carefully. Echo scanned for useful items and found energy cells. They could recharge and continue the journey. Ilara felt hope. The core was near, and they had guidance from her parents' work. Night came, and they found shelter in the hidden room. Ilara started a small fire and cooked some food. She watched Echo recharge. She thought about the path ahead. Tomorrow, they would move closer to the core. Machines would be stronger, and traps would be more dangerous. She felt fear, but also determination. She touched the papers once more. Her parents had tried to stop the core, and she would continue their mission. Ilara whispered to Echo, "We will finish what they started. We'll reach the core." Echo beeped in response, as if promising to help. She felt a strong connection to her parents through their work. The night was quiet, but Ilara did not feel alone. She had Echo and the knowledge of her parents guiding her. The journey was hard, but she was ready. She closed her eyes and rested, knowing the next day would be full of challenges. She would not turn back. Ilara woke before sunrise. The hidden room was cold and quiet. She packed her bag and checked Echo. The machine's lights blinked steadily. Today, they would move closer to the core. The path would be harder, and danger would be greater. Ilara felt fear, but she also felt determination. She had to continue. The exclusion zone was harsher now. Broken towers leaned dangerously. Wires hung low and moved with the wind. Pieces of old machines were scattered everywhere. Ilara stepped carefully. Echo scanned constantly. A warning beep sounded. She looked up. Drones moved above, scanning the area. She crouched behind a broken wall. Echo made small sounds to distract them. They passed quickly, without noticing her. She felt relief, but knew more challenges were ahead. They entered an old factory. Inside, the walls were covered with screens and wires. Some screens flickered with images of people and machines. Ilara touched one lightly. She saw her parents working on machines. She remembered their stories. They had tried to stop the Neuralink system. Now, Ilara understood their struggle. She felt proud to follow their path. Echo beeped softly, recognizing the importance. Suddenly, alarms sounded. Machines moved fast. Small drones and larger robots appeared from hidden corners. Ilara froze. Echo moved forward, drawing the machines away. Ilara ran through a side door. The factory was full of obstacles. She jumped over wires and avoided falling debris. Echo fought quickly, disabling several robots. The machines stopped moving. Ilara felt relief, but stayed alert. The danger was not over. They moved deeper into the exclusion zone. The land became more broken. Rusted metal and debris covered the ground. Ilara found pieces of old machines and remembered her parents' work. They had left clues and notes for anyone who could continue their mission. Ilara felt determined. She would finish what they started. By afternoon, they reached a hidden room inside a collapsed building. Papers, blueprints, and old devices were scattered. Ilara read the notes. They showed paths through the zone and areas controlled by machines. She memorized the safe paths. Echo scanned for energy sources and found old batteries and cells. They could recharge for the final part of the journey. Ilara felt hope. The core was close, and they had guidance from her parents' work. Night fell. Ilara and Echo rested in the hidden room. She started a small fire and prepared food. Echo sat nearby, its light soft. She thought about the next day. The core was near. Machines would be stronger and traps more dangerous. She felt fear, but also determination. She touched the notes one last time. Her parents had tried to stop the core. She would continue their mission. Ilara whispered to Echo. Tomorrow, we reach the core. We will finish what my parents started. Echo beeped, promising support. Ilara felt a connection to her parents through the work they had left behind. The night was quiet, but Ilara did not feel alone. She had Echo and the knowledge of her parents guiding her. The journey was hard, but she was ready. She closed her eyes and rested, knowing the next day would decide everything. She would not turn back. Ilara woke with the sun rising. Today was the day she would reach the core. She packed her bag and checked Echo. The machine was ready, its lights steady. She felt a mix of fear and determination. The final path was full of danger, but she would not turn back. The land was rough. Broken towers leaned over paths, and wires hung low. Old machines lay scattered everywhere. Ilara moved carefully. Echo scanned constantly. A warning beep sounded. Drones flew above, patrolling the area. She crouched behind a wall and waited. Echo made noises to distract the drones. They passed, unaware of her presence. Ilara breathed slowly and moved forward. The core was close now. They entered a large building, the remnants of a factory. Inside, walls were full of wires and screens. Some screens flickered with old images. Ilara touched one lightly. Ilara. She saw her parents working on machines. They were young, busy, and focused. Ilara felt a mix of sadness and pride. Her parents had tried to stop the Neuralink system. She was following their path and would finish their work. Echo beeped softly, as if understanding the importance of the moment. Suddenly, alarms rang. Machines moved fast from hidden corners. Drones and larger robots surrounded them. Ilara froze. Echo moved forward, fighting the machines. Ilara ran through a side door, jumping over wires and avoiding falling debris. Echo disabled the robots quickly. The machines stopped moving. Ilara felt relief, but knew the danger was not over. They reached the inner area of the building. A glowing structure stood in the center. It was the core. Wires and screens surrounded it. The energy was strong and intense. Ilara felt its power. Echo scanned the area and gave a warning. The core could be dangerous. She stepped closer. Her heart raced. This was what she had been searching for. The core held answers about her parents and the Neuralink system. Ilara approached the core carefully. She saw traces of her parents' work. Notes and codes were embedded in the system. She understood their mission and sacrifice. Echo helped her navigate the controls. Ilara realized she had a choice. She could merge with the core and gain knowledge, or she could shut it down to protect humanity. She thought of her parents. They wanted freedom for people, not control. Ilara made her decision. She would destroy the core and protect humanity. Ilara and Echo worked together, followed the codes and disconnected key systems. The core began to collapse, wires sparking and screens fading. Energy surged around them, but they stayed safe. The building shook. Ilara felt the core's power disappear. It was over. Humanity was free from the control of the Neuralink system. She had completed her mission. As the building settled, Ilara looked at Echo. The machine had evolved. It had helped her and remained by her side. She felt hope. The journey had been hard, but they had succeeded. Ilara knew the future would be difficult, but it was free. She looked outside at the horizon. The exclusion zone was quiet, but life could return. She smiled slightly. She had finished what her parents had started. Together with Echo, she would explore the new world and help rebuild it. Ilara felt strong and ready, as the journey was over, but a new life was beginning.